regarding the conversation about coaches getting fired mid-season and like an interim coach coming in.
Yeah.
I have witnessed on two separate occasions, and this is me not being specific,
Yes.
certain coaches getting labeled as gurus as a result of um, a collaborative approach to the rest of the season, where like literally the center and the quarterback are like putting together the run game and the pass game, and like it's working, and the coach gets all the credit.
Sure.
So that's just another tidbit in terms of like how those mid-season firings get handled, how the coordinator and the team kind of work together to put the best product on the field, and then who at the end of the day gets the credit. It's just it's potentially a longer conversation into how, particularly in the NFL, like sometimes players make coaches' careers, you know.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that they're not worthy. It's just how you get your break, you know.
Yeah. No. Absolutely.
So,
I mean, Tyler and I have had similar conversations. I think we were talking about Brian Dable. We were talking about Brian Dable and coming. Like, obviously, he had a start. He worked under Saban, so obviously knows his stuff. But when coming into the league, he gets to work with Josh Allen. That's a very nice introduction to your NFL job that you're able to work. So there's definitely many routes, whether it's coincidental or whether it's truly you just hitching your wagon to somebody else. And I fear you were very broad, but that is a situation that is very popular and very known. So it may get through who you're talking about, but no worries at all. But definitely a great point for sure. No doubt.
The truth is like we all get help along our careers.
Exactly.
And we're all the product of the people around us. It's just funny sometimes who gets the credit, you know. But
absolutely, and then you just keep up. I love following. I think where I do take my fan to the next level is following the path of coaches I either didn't like on my team or just kind of just see as you follow the path, really what was in the X's and O's and what they had. The truth will always come to light, as they say. But yeah, that's definitely a great topic. And all right, welcome back to another episode of Fan Therapy episode 58. Back talking about football. Got an addition to the panel, but we're going to start off with the high school tennis captain, Eagles superfan. He is 2-0 in attendance at NFC Championship games. He is a Pac-12 truther, 6-team college playoff enthusiast, our Fan Therapy college analyst. Tyler, how are we doing today, bro?
Excited. Big weekend. It's like Christmas before Christmas. It's awesome.
Christmas. That's what I was gonna lead with. This is like your Christmas. We're getting into it early for you.
Yep.
You had the round one present. You're up the only one early though. There's not much left for you in this round, but we'll go get into that one a bit. But how you feeling coming out of that one?
It was a good game. Way more entertaining than I thought it was gonna be. I really thought it was gonna be like a 17-10 SEC slugfest, but they ended up opening up the offenses toward the end. It was very fun to watch.
Maybe it's because it's a little chilly out there, but we'll get into it. We'll get into it a bit. Next up, not a guest. He'll be joining us weekly. He is the Connecticut versus Rhode Island game regular. They call him Captain Connecticut. Junior year, he was top 50 in the nation in receptions. How crazy is that, Tyler? Princeton University football captain. He averaged 11 yards a pop through his college career, took it to the pros, averaged 12 yards a pop with the 138th pick in the 2016 draft. The Cleveland Browns selected the greatest coder in the country and our NFL analyst, Seth. How are we doing today, bro?
What's up, guys? I'm good, man. That's greatest coder in the country. I like that.
I had to get in that.
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm excited to be on with you guys and chat football with you.
Yeah, No doubt. And there's no more exciting place to start than Alabama. They're the team everybody was looking at coming in. Kalen DeBoer was on the hot seat. They weren't going to get rid of him yet, but this is kind of the prelude to next year, to kind of how hot the seat's going to be next year. We, of course, had our CFB Fan Therapy Football Analyst watching. Tyler, how'd you feel about that overall? What are some of the things you want to draw out from this game?
The biggest storyline to me, and I think this guy should be on like the cover of Sports Center right now. He should be everywhere. It's Latzir Brooks, the 3-star freshman from Mullica Hill, same school as Mike Trout. He had 5 catches for 80 yards and 2 touchdowns, but without him, Alabama loses that game 42-0. Like, when this offense could not move the ball, the man that stepped up was the true freshman from New Jersey, shout out, to take the Tide and give them the juice they need to win this game. But I think that the Latzir Brooks, Lotzzeir Brooks.
Yeah.
3-star
freshman Alabama, he's starting. Crazy. Absolutely insane.
You said he's a true freshman?
Yeah. Especially given Ryan Williams' struggles this year. He's got the most drops in the country. Like, to have a 5'9" guy step up in that role is crazy. That's why I love football.
He went up and high pointed one of those too. I saw one of those. That was a big catch he had out there. So a game like this, I think Latzir Brooks was on there. How did you feel about Ty's play? Or did you have something to get on Latzir, Seth?
No, is he the one who took the ball off the guy's back, like on the 10-yard line?
Off his helmet, yeah, absolutely.
We did see.
And
that.
then he did
nice.
He did the spinning dive into the end zone on 4th down. He was an electric factory last night, and it was just awesome to watch.
Oh my goodness! Well, we love to see that again. Another crazy wide receiver added to the mix. I think going into this year, we thought Ryan Williams would be that guy. Yeah. He's shown spurts, but not the consistencies we would obviously want to see out of a player of that caliber. Going into this game, what was the name of the game? Did we think it was going to have to be Alabama through the air, on the ground? What would you think their mindset was attacking this game?
So coming off the SEC championship game where they had negative 34 yards rushing, they had a blocked punt, got smoked in a turnover battle. I think it was like 3 or 4 turnovers for Alabama. They didn't force a single one. That was the key coming into this game was, can Alabama play like their brand of football where it's no mistakes? Can they force Oklahoma to make mistakes? And can they run the ball? Well, they did not run the ball because they only averaged a yard per carry, but they got a pick 6 and a blocked punt, so they scored 14 points off 2 turnovers and 34-24. That's how you win the game right there. Is those 14 points. Like, those are the 2 game-changing plays. So they just eliminated the turnovers, cleaned it up. They still weren't tackling well, which makes I don't think they're going to get past the next round if you can't tackle well in the open field, especially in college football with the wide hash marks. So, but they won the game.
I think an interesting point that tends to come up, I guess, when these college football playoff starts, because I think now we're starting to get into the NIL era where we're kind of the big teams can play the big teams early, but kind of the big teams are forced to play the big teams. So, Seth, the question I have for you, kind of going into these games, how often do you see coaches or maybe different coaches have different like mindsets, but kind of leaning into your identity, like whether, even though it may be like leaning into another team's strength. So say like your identity is the run game, but the other team their strength is the run defense. So how much do you think coaches will often kind of say, we're going to stick to our identity and be better what we're best at than what they're best at? We're just going to be better. Or how often do you kind of see the need to kind of switch and adjust? And do you think there's a better method of that thinking?
Yeah, I mean, I think in college football, compared to the pros, it's more of like, we're going to do what we do, and they're going to try to beat us doing what we do. That's mostly because you've got at least formerly amateur athletes playing the game, going to school. This is starting to change a little bit, but like in college football, there's not going to be a ton of adjustments at halftime. You might get to some plays that you want to get to, but those plays were already in the game plan. Whereas like in pro football, you play for certain coaches or even for certain quarterbacks that will like audible to a play at the line of scrimmage that wasn't even in the game plan. It's like, okay, we ran this play in week 3 of training camp. It wasn't in the game plan, but like Phillip Rivers or Tom Brady is going to audible to it at the line of scrimmage because they like it for this current situation. That type of stuff doesn't really happen in college football too much. You will hear like college coaches at the podium and like players at the podium saying like, it's about us. It's really like we either win or we beat ourselves, right? Like, and particularly in playoff football at any level, because football is, a sport that spans multiple months and multiple seasons. Like it gets cold at the end of seasons. Not too much in the deep South, but in the rest of the country, and a lot of teams start to rely on the run game more so going deep into the season. Like it brings up memories of like the Miami Dolphins winning a lot of games early in the year, especially with a quarterback like Tua, and then struggling late down the stretch, just because like as the weather changes, the game changes. And this is why any offensive coordinator or any football coach at any level will just tell you we need to run the football. Even in the hot August training camp months, like we need to establish an identity of running the football, not just because it opens the pass, but because when we get into games late in the season that actually count, we're going to need to run the football, because it's just like sometimes the elements require you to. So that's how I would answer that question, is like it starts to get more in the trenches as the season gets later. And in college football in particular, like we're going to run what we run. Yes, we'll game plan some special situations, but let's make them beat us doing what we do best.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Great answer. And that totally makes sense on kind of balancing those differences there. And something that you brought out is how honestly just the run game by default can just help you through a lot of these situations. So something that Tyler brought up from this game is how Alabama came in, wanted to run the ball. They weren't doing that well in their last game. So seeing that they got through this game, not necessarily running the ball, Tyler, does that kind of raise any opinions on Ty Simpson, the quarterback from there? How did you feel about him managing his way through that game?
I like Ty Simpson a lot. I actually think he's like one of the better throwers of the ball in college. He's got a great release. He's quick, fast. He can throw off platform. Like he's a really good quarterback. The issue with the college football box score is they actually count sacks as QB rushing yards. So like if you go in the box score, let's say Ty Simpson has 6 rushes for negative 22 yards, but he doesn't. Because he
just got bopped in the backfield.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So he actually is like he moves well, and he actually picked up a few first downs with his feet, which were huge. Yeah. Talking about that though, there's a lot of discourse right now around John Mateer. They had a 3rd down at midfield, and John Mateer is known as like a really good rusher.
Sure.
He had 800 yards last year and 15 touchdowns on the ground for Washington State. So he has a 3rd and 4 at midfield, and he's got like 15 yards of room in front of him to pick up a first down. And instead, he tries to go deep on a post route, which had like broken open after he like left the pocket and the guy dropped the ball. And so Oklahoma fans are very upset with him right now for not just taking the yards and keeping the drive alive, because then that 4th down ended up being the punt block. So
man, that crowd was crazy. So I'm sure they want to help. There's another player on Oklahoma that probably took the heat off him a bit. That kicker probably is going to take some of the brunt off of him. Did you have something to say about that one, Seth? I saw you trying to get in there, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see the play, but I mean, if the kid dropped the ball, I don't know how you pin that on the quarterback. Like you don't necessarily pass up an open post route if it's there just to try to run 15 yards. I don't know. I don't hate the decision, but obviously fans are going to judge the decision based on the outcome,
the result,
which is not typically how you should judge a decision. But anyways, yeah, I mean, John Mateer is an incredible player. At one point this season, he was like the Heisman front runner, and I did watch a couple of those games before his thumb injury, I believe, and kid's incredible. I mean, really, really good athlete, really great quarterback. Tyler, you're probably familiar with his eligibility, but he's probably coming back, I would guess, or is he?
I think he's a redshirt senior.
Okay, so he's done.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what NFL prospects evaluate him like. But I think he's a really good player.
Oh, he's a redshirt junior. He's got one more year.
Yeah, he has another.
He'll be back Oklahoma. Yeah.
He's like
reminds me a lot of Taylor Heineke.
Yeah.
When I watch him play, he reminds me a lot of Taylor Heineke, where he's like able to pick up with his feet. He's crafty in the pocket, but he can still make a lot of the like NFL throws.
Yeah,
no, that's a good comp. I like that.
We can take this different direction. I think you were talking about the years of eligibility, so he's probably going back. I'm sure Oklahoma probably has the money to pay him, but it's kind of crazy. That's kind of where these conversations
we have to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll definitely get into that next. But before we leave Bama, we were talking about fans just making rash decisions based off the result. Alabama fans have been more than spoiled prior to Kalen's tenure at the team. Obviously, Kalen, he's had some 3-loss seasons, which I know is anything past 1 is unacceptable, or anything over 0 losses is unacceptable down there. So he's kind of been pre-placed on the hot seat before this college playoff started. So good news for him. He has more games to kind of prove the work he's done there. Tyler, what do you think? What are the conversations around him? Do you think he's kind of next year he has to really make something shake, even make it to the championship to kind of ease those fans down there who have the highest of expectations, honestly, probably in sports?
So I think this issue, this Kalen DeBoer conversation isn't like, I don't fault the Alabama fans. I fault the Alabama athletic director for hiring a coach who not even 3 years ago was coaching at Fresno State. They hired an up-and-coming coach who just had success in Power 5, and they gave him the keys to, like, it's like giving a person who just got their driver's license Lamborghini. Like, it's like they're gonna crash the car. Like, it's impossible. You gave him an impossible task at like his stage of his career. So I think he's an amazing coach. And I think if Alabama is able to stay the course with him, I do think he'll be able to like get them back to being, nobody's ever going to be Nick Saban, but like he can definitely be up there with like a Sarkisian, like the Ryan Day. Like, I don't think he'll ever be, a Saban, but if they give him the chance to, he can get them back there, but I don't think he will get the chance just because of, again, it's Alabama. Like, you get your shot, and if you don't do it, then they're going to go get Lincoln Riley, or they're going to go get Steve Sarkisian, or they're going to get Lane Kiffin to leave LSU after 40 games because they're Alabama.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Seth, you've experienced this in your professional career, maybe even from your freshman to sophomore, I don't know, but coaching changes, they happen a lot at all different levels. I think one question I want to ask you from inside the building, when a coaching change happens, what are things that you kind of notice a coach being really like intentional about implementing kind of to gain the trust in the building? Kind of what are the guys in the building looking for? And then maybe what are some things like from a fan perspective, because we're not in the building, could we look to kind of really gauge like either the power that a coach has over his players, or just kind of just his qualities and acumen of being a coach? I know that's a very tough question, but anything you can speak to on those parts.
It's a good question. You talking about like when a coaching change happens mid-season or like between seasons?
Let's start between seasons. Like when a new coach is coming in, I guess fresh off season, what are some of the things he's really intentionally looking to like really just gain in the building off the bat to build success?
Yeah, I mean, This question, the answer to this question kind of depends on if it's college or pro. Like in
Sure.
college, when a coaching change happens between seasons, it's usually, well, now everybody just hops in the transfer portal. But in the old days, like it's usually great for the younger players and
Mm,
kind of too bad for the older players. Because like you weren't recruited by that coach as an older player. As a younger player, you probably weren't recruited by that coach either, but like that coach is instantly like more interested in developing the younger guys as opposed to playing the older guys. Now, of course, there's a handful of older guys on every team that are like going to make a significant impact on the field. But by and large, like you get some guys checking out who are like
mm,
on the way out. You know what I mean? Um, we had a coaching change at Princeton in 2011. Sorry, 2010, the year before I got there, and it was a lot of young guys playing on the field, which was like great for me,
yeah.
and too bad for some of the other guys. Just um, and typically those first couple of years of that new head coach, the first year particularly, are um, kind of like your freshman year of engineering or accounting or some other major that they're trying to like
Yeah.
weed you out and to test like, do you really want to do this? So off-season workouts are unnecessarily hard that first year. Um, there's a lot of standard building and trying to figure out which guys are going to be about the standard and which guys are going to struggle.
Yeah.
Um, it's basically just a coach trying to learn 100 different guys and having to put out like these kind of daily tests to figure out who's who and what's what. Um, man, in the NFL, things are a little bit different just because like every guy's playing for their job all the time, regardless of who's coaching and like playing for their contract next season. Um, but you notice a lot of times when coaching change happen in the NFL, especially mid-season, that team can go on a little bit of a run.
Mm,
You see it time and time again, like with the Raiders 2 years ago. Um, gosh, even on the Browns when I was there in 2018,
mm-hmm.
um, there's like almost like this sense of there was a lot of stress in the building leading up to it, and then all of a sudden, kind of that stress is like the balloons popped a little bit, and guys kind of
Yeah.
relaxed, guys kind of play within themselves, um, and the team can kind of rally around each other in those times. And like, I'm not a sports bettor, so I don't know what Vegas thinks, but like, if you're playing a team coming off a midseason coaching change in the NFL,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, watch out. Those are the games that do not go according to plan because that team who supposedly is struggling and just let go of their coach usually ends up winning that game and usually ends up winning a couple right after that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but in terms of Kalen DeBoer, I kind of feel like he's Mac Jones.
Mm,
Like Mac Jones was drafted by Belichick in New England to replace Tom Brady.
Mm-hmm.
And like
Mm-hmm.
that's exactly what Mac Jones wanted. He was the guy to take on the challenge. Um, made a Pro Bowl his first year, like didn't flop necessarily, but just was given an impossible task.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Um, gets moved out of New England, and uh, Drake May comes in. Um, another head coach comes in as well, and Drake May is obviously really good, but at the same time, like there was this buffer of head coach and
Yeah.
quarterback between Belichick and Brady to like remove the
Mm-hmm.
expectation and kind of remove the memory of that era.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know if the regime of head coach or quarterback right after Brady and Belichick it was even like possible to succeed. I don't know, like if they could
Yeah.
obviously, but it's just a really difficult task. Um, Because like we've seen Mac Jones play this year. Mac Jones is a good quarterback. He just
Doing his
didn't
thing.
last. He just didn't last in that environment with those expectations. I think Kalen DeBoer could stay. I think Tyler, you said they've had back-to-back 3-loss seasons, right?
Yeah.
Which like isn't good enough. But wherever he goes next, if he goes somewhere next, like he probably does great.
He's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna rock. Like he's awesome.
Yeah, and probably like whoever comes into Bama next, if they're making a change, I'm not convinced they are. But if they are making a change, like that person probably does well because Bama's great brand. But like it's probably like Kalen DeBoer just becomes the buffer in that sense that the whole organization and the whole town and fan base needed to just get over Nick Saban essentially.
That makes too much sense, and it's literally tracking with what's happening right now. One last question, honestly, just out of interest. We talked about kind of you went through the offseason coaching change. What's kind of the crux of that? Like, what gets thrown out of the window from that plan if you make like a midseason change? Like, I'm assuming the coach kind of narrows his focus in on those items that you've talked about to a few, probably getting more into the X's and O's. What are kind of the key bits a coach will hit on if he has to make the change midseason?
Yeah, like the interim coach or the interim coordinator that comes
Yeah,
in.
yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot of different reasons a coach could get fired.
We're learning about that.
Yeah, right. So, depending on the situation, like the first task is just to stabilize the team.
Yeah.
Like, hey, like this was a crazy situation. Like, we're not saying why this coach got fired, but like I'm here, we're here. And this is typically not the time when a coach is going to establish their way. Can't do that midseason. This is a type of situation where a coach is going to lean into what the guys do best, and basically have a very collaborative approach to trying to put the best product on the field the rest of the season. Now, there may be some things, maybe some reasons why this coach got fired that will get adjusted right away. Like sometimes you see an interim coach come in and like immediately somebody gets benched or immediately somebody gets like promoted to a starting position.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, maybe this head coach got fired or maybe this coordinator got fired because people in the building thought they were incompetent with their standards in the building of how things were getting done or who was getting playing time, so on and so forth. I feel like you don't see that very often though, but that does happen. But like in my experiences with an interim coordinator or an interim coach coming in is like they come into the meeting room, they ask the O-line, hey guys, what runs do you like? They ask the quarterback, what passes do you like? They will build a game plan around like what the players like to do. Because by and large, like, especially when a coordinator gets fired, a lot of times it's because the product hasn't been up to standard, and the product hasn't been up to standard because there's some disconnect between what the coach thinks we should be doing and what the players actually want to execute. Right. It's like the best way for an interim to come in and to rectify that is to be like, to get on the same page as those guys. Because if you can run the plays that they believe in and that they think they'll have success with, like, it almost doesn't matter. You're probably automatically going to get a better result. So that's why I said there's like the team kind of rallies around itself and around each other.
Yeah.
And they take in my experience, there's a very collaborative approach to the game plans and the rest of the season. Because everybody's in it together at that point. Like the players staying and the coach being successful, like you're all touching each other's money at that point, in terms of helping each other have a successful career. So
yeah, I think important part of that relationship is absolutely the quarterback. I think you've seen a lot of coaches, they come in, they can definitely show that their system works. And I think some coaches you can say may have definitely benefited from just maybe fortunately being around a good quarterback or just having ties a good quarterback, maybe a good quarterback, just liking them. As we've seen, like with Joe Burrow coming to LSU for a year, he liked Ed Orgeron. Ed Orgeron got a national championship, one of the best seasons coaching out of it. So definitely a big part of that is the quarterback. That position has been very interesting, kind of the highlight of the NIL era when making these shifts. When a coaching change like the Michigan happens, when there's a 5-star quarterback like Bryce Underwood there, obviously the conversation is going to be swirling around. Don't have to stay on him, but Tyler, are there any quarterback changes being talked about? I know there's the North Texas kid being talked about, Raiola right now. Any big stories there that you want to discuss?
There's a few. There's a bunch of quarterbacks that hit the portal so far. The most surprising one, I guess, has been Josh Hoover from TCU. He's like a career starter there, and they TCU. I'm pretty sure. Oh, that was Kansas State that made a coaching change. So TCU, but like he's had success at TCU and he's entered the portal. So now the conversation turns to: how bad is the tampering? That's basically what the question now is. Is like, how bad is tampering? Has someone at Indiana reached out to Josh Hoover and been like, hey, Mendoza's on the way out. We got you next. So he enters the portal. Or, Texas Tech has the same thing. They have a quarterback opening. Has Texas Tech reached out to I don't know. Like the Dylan Raiola one, we all know why he entered the portal. His uncle got fired as their O-line coach. So duh. Like that was the whole reason he was there. Like that makes sense. Sam Leavitt leaving Arizona State really didn't make a ton of sense, especially now that Kenny Dillingham re-signed his contract today. It's like that.
Oh, you don't like that one? Gotcha.
No, I did. I was shocked he left. I didn't think he was actually going to leave because he loves Kenny. Kenny Dillingham's the man. Like that's just a great coach. So maybe Oregon was because he's from Oregon. Maybe Oregon was tampering there. Like that's the question now we have. Like is coming up is like how much tampering is actually happening?
Yeah,
because clearly it was happening, but like because now the portal opens before teams are done their season. So like if you're Oregon, if you're Indiana, if you're Texas Tech, and you need a quarterback, or even Alabama needs a quarterback, like you don't want to be stuck left behind. So have a few boosters go out to North Texas, meet with Drew Musmaker's uncle while Drew Musmaker's somehow at the same restaurant as you, and tell him, hey, Kalen DeBoer's got $15 million for you to come play for Alabama. So yeah, that's the rumors right now. It's like tampering could be out of control.
I love that stuff so much. I think it's very interesting, especially I think because I mean this process is so convoluted. I think the only answer you can give to how much tampering is going on is just simply yes. Like yes,
infinite. It's impossible. Yeah.
Just so many schools, so much money flying around. It's just like I'm not even too mad at where it's landing, but I think the effects are undeniable on the effects of NFL and how quarterbacks are moving, and maybe I think there's already talks about the decisions that these kids are making before NIL is around and stuff was being exchanged in different ways. So now those conversations are just being brought out into the forefront. And I think one way that we're seeing NIL really take its impact is I think bowl games or something everybody was looking forward to. Players were looking forward to it because it was a chance for them to really receive any sort of compensation for their money. Like if they're playing in the PlayStation Bowl, they get a PlayStation now. Everybody just wants a Hellcat or something like that. They're not interested in the games anymore. So yeah, I think that's something that we're seeing going. Seth, your era of college football was thriving with these bowl games. Players were really excited to go get their free shoes, get whatever was going on. Obviously, NIL is the big factor to that. What are some of the insights or things that you're noticing in terms of that relationship?
Yeah, it's a really interesting time. I mean, before the college football playoff, and before NIL, like we had a college national championship game, but it wasn't really a college national championship game. I mean, I know that you guys are old enough to remember this, but and Tyler, you correct me if I'm wrong, but the college national champion before the college football playoff was implemented was just basically like two teams that got voted into the best bowl game. No,
it was the
decided.
BCS. It was a computer. They had like a computer formula that picked the two best teams. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it was a computer formula, and the game would rotate between the Rose Bowl, Cotton Bowl, Fiesta Bowl, and Sugar Bowl, I think. I think those are the four main bowls. The college national champion would just be the winner of one of those games. So there was a point in time in which bowl games were everything. I mean, bowl games, one of the bowl games was the presumed national championship game. And then the rest like actually meant something because that's all there was in college football. It was an honor to play in them. Because that was like your entire postseason as a college football player. It was great for development for younger players because you'd have like, in some cases, a month off between your last regular season game and your bowl game, where like coaches could develop the younger talent in practice. Also get some of those guys playing in games, especially in the cases where some of the veterans are going to the NFL and maybe not playing. And a lot of these bowls you mentioned, Justin, like players weren't being compensated, but they were like being materially compensated with really interesting and really at times valuable things, which was the only time a college football player got anything, right? So when I was playing college football and when I was growing up, like that all made sense. My observation now is just that it probably doesn't make sense anymore. We've already seen this year Notre Dame decline to play a bowl game. Now that could be out of spite for not making the college football playoff, but I think it's also just like a realization that this bowl game doesn't matter anymore, right? Like you're hearing college football coaches go to podiums at the end of the game and talk about, hey, how good is our true freshman wide receiver Latier, you know, like, or so on and so forth, and be like, shoot, I shouldn't have said that. Now everybody's going to try to get him in the transfer portal, right? Like coaches aren't even talking about the younger players anymore, much less they don't want to showcase them in a game that doesn't matter, right? And these players are being compensated, not all the players are being compensated life-changing money, but they're being compensated something, and some of the players are being compensated life-changing money. And I just don't think the Bulls have their luster anymore because like the best bowl game now is like not even the top 12 team in the country. You know what I mean? So at least from the college football playoff decision makers. So I have a feeling that bowl games their days are numbered. I could be wrong, but it seems like it's a mainstay of the past that is eventually going to die. Tyler, what do you think?
So I think you touched on a point there that it truly is a struggle. It's a power struggle between a coach and a player. Because like if you're a redshirt sophomore on Notre Dame and you're stuck behind Jeremiah Love your entire career, and you have a national bowl game and you have the opportunity because he's going to the draft, so he's not going to play. So it's finally your chance, to get 15, 20 carries and like show your worth not only to Notre Dame but to the entire country. Because now you have the ability to choose like your own path. And for them to be like, yeah, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to just not play. So like it is like the bowl games still help those players. And like even for like guys trying to like, maybe a fringe NFL player, it's like one more game of tape you get to give. So it really is like coaches don't want that player to leave. That player is like, but this is one more game for me to like, maybe get some serious tape out there to show the nation like what I'm worth. So it's really interesting that point because like again it is. I could see how a coach wouldn't want it, but then you see how like a player like that could be huge for you. That's the difference between a 50K NIL deal and maybe Matt Rule's like, oh my gosh, look at this guy. I think he could be the next, whoever, Nizia Hunter, and he gives you 500K, and just like that, your life is completely flipped upside down. You're the starting wide receiver for Nebraska, and next thing you know, you're a 4th-round pick instead of being, having to line up the LinkedIn. So,
yeah, no, it's a good point. I mean, the point about the players not wanting to play in bowl games that I made is probably not being thoughtful enough of that point where like, hey, I might not have played enough this year. Like I really want to play. I think that's a valid point. And it is in contention with the program that doesn't want to maybe do it. They don't want to leave. Yeah. So,
but how many of those guys actually exist? Like, in theory, that guy does exist, but how many of them actually do exist? And that's the struggle,
And is it true now that like the Sugar Bowl, Fiesta Bowl, Cotton Bowl, Rose Bowl, are those just college football playoff games now?
Yeah.
Sadly, all the New York Six, they nuked the New Year's Six bowls. They're all just the Rose Bowl isn't the Big Ten versus the Pac-12 winner anymore because Pac-12 doesn't exist.
Sorry, Tyler.
Yeah, dude, that's I every day I think about it. I'm like, you know how cool it would be if we had a conference where all the West Coast teams play each other? Like, imagine how cool that would be.
And how feasible that is and how much it makes sense.
Yeah, how why is BYU in the Big 12? I feel like they should be playing like UCLA and USC. Wouldn't that just make sense?
Well, at some point it did. I think one thing about the bowl games, and it's funny how watching the kind of the concern of it develop, because we were saying the end of it was when 1 or 2 players were sitting out because of their college. I remember that was a huge deal. We're like, well, we need the best players playing in them. Now it's like the overall relevance is coming into question, and that links with the topic I was talking about before with the quarterbacks, like saying maybe like John Mateer, he has a year left. Maybe before NIL, he's looking to kind of like, hey, maybe like I do just shove myself into the combine for a 7th-round shot because like maybe my senior left tackle is like graduating, so maybe it's just my next season's not gonna look the same. So let me just go now. But now with NIL, they're like, okay, I'll take this little 2.5 M's on the side and here at Oklahoma, and then maybe I'll make something shake and get into the 5th or 4th round. That's the best quarterbacks are drafted in the 5th round, I believe, all the time. But moving on to that topic, shifting on, I think the Giants are probably watching a lot of these games closely, as they always are at the end of the year, because they're usually drafting really high at the end of the draft because they usually have a lot of L's in their loss column. The Giants are probably watching that Alabama, Oklahoma game maybe closely. They probably set a scout that nobody knew the name of because they do have their own quarterback in the building, so they probably don't want too many stories getting out of. But Fernando Mendoza is looking like he's gonna be the numero uno coming out of the draft. We feel like that's a name the Giants should be watching right now. They just drafted a quarterback. I think we've seen the kind of the overall process. I think there used to be kind of a standard kind of you draft a quarterback, fill the back end with veterans, but now we're kind of seeing teams. The Browns kind of took it to the nth degree of willing to bring in multiple younger quarterbacks and kind of make something shake on the back end, really just doing anything you can to find the one that can start from you and be your franchise quarterback. The Giants, I think some fans, maybe they think they got their guy. Some fans maybe think they're going to end up with the first pick to get Mendoza. Where do you guys landed on this one? Do you guys think that Mendoza is looking like somebody that team should be quote unquote selling their souls for, or do you think they should kind of pump the brakes and take a look at what they have? Whoever wants to take this one first can go.
Go ahead, Tyler.
So, right, the Giants are going to – if the Giants are the Morval pick and they're sitting there with Jackson Dart and Malik Neighbors coming off an ACL tear, like when they had them two together, like they were a good team. Like they were losing, but they weren't like losing like the Giants have in the past, where it's like, oh, that is an uncompetitive football team. Like that does not look like a cohesive unit. They looked like they had some cohesion and some sort of identity in the way that Dart runs. They like Dart was he's a Lane Kiffin product. He's a Lincoln Riley product. They're heavy RPO. He's gonna run the ball. He's gonna get out of the pocket. He's gonna make plays. Like, it's exciting. And I think as a Giants fan, that's probably the first time you've been excited about a quarterback like since 2011 Eli. So like I don't know. I for them it looks like the best decision, especially given the way this draft class looks. Is like I think they trade out that one, and you hope that like maybe the Rams come up to get their Stafford replacement because they're picking 10 because they have the Falcons pick. Maybe the Raiders get aggressive and come up and get their guy, or maybe the Cardinals move off Kyler Murray and they're looking to move up and get their guy to put with Marvin Harrison. So like I think that one pick, I think the conversation is a lot of who's willing to pay the price to go up and get one. Yeah. Because like Ruben Bain, good player, he's not Myles Garrett. Arvell Reese, I don't think a team's going to draft an off-ball linebacker at number 1 overall. That would be kind of crazy, but not outside the Giants. And then Caleb Downs, are you going to draft a safety nickel corner?
There's always that question every draft. There's some elite safety like in the question, but he always just falls because it's just
Yeah, and it's like the player is incredible, like elite. Like you're getting a guy who's top 10 in his position, even though he's just come in the league, but like the position value isn't there, right? So to me, it looks like the Giants should move out of one and just pick up picks and just keep building that defense because their defense sucks. Like that's their issue. It's not their offense; their defense is poo.
I'm in no rush for them to get a good quarter. I was so scared of the draft with Neighbors, and that came to fruition in spades. He's absolutely incredible. So I'm in no rush for them to get a quarterback. Seth, how are you feeling about this one?
Well, it's a really interesting topic. I think we're assuming a couple of things. Like as of today, the Giants are in place to have the number 1 pick, but there's still 3 games left in the NFL season as we're recording this. Also, if all things go well for Indiana, Mendoza has like 3 more games to play. So he's got to make it out healthy. Of course, we assuming and hope that he does.
Right.
But assuming the Giants do end up with the number 1 overall pick in 3 more weeks, and assuming Mendoza does play 3 more games and leave healthy and go through the pre-draft process well and doesn't have any red flags, then this does get really interesting. There's probably only 2 options. I think Tyler laid them out well. I think you are either drafting Mendoza in New York, which is going to be controversial because there's going to be people that are Jackson Dart apologists that want to keep him. And then there's going to be a clamor for, hey, you can't pass up this generational talent. Or you move off the pick and you get a haul for it. There's probably not a chance in my mind that you're taking another position or another player. It could be another player, but not another position at that pick if you're going to stay at that pick.
Sure.
Here, the thing that is interesting to it about me is, or the thing that's interesting about it to me is there are less first-round quarterbacks entering the draft now than there was pre-NIL. Think about Trey Lance for instance. Like, had Trey Lance played a little bit later in college football, would Trey Lance have come out of college for the draft when he did? And he's not the only example here, but he's just a good one in recent memory. Like, Trey Lance did he start 1 college game for North Dakota because of the COVID year?
He started 1 season, but he had like 1 interception the entire season. Like, he had like 23 touchdowns with 1 interception.
Okay. Now, I could be remembering this wrong, but the season before he came out, wasn't that 2020 and North Dakota played like 1 game and it was basically for Trey Lance as his like, it was his like, anyways, the details of this don't matter, but like guys like Anthony Richardson, Trey Lance, who had very few college starts.
Yeah.
They're coming out because of the upside of the money that they can make in the NFL, right? Whereas if you're a potential first round pick playing college quarterback right now, you're probably pulling at least $2 million a year in NIL.
Right.
Some are
Mhm.
making 5. There's just like there's way more incentive now for a first round potential quarterback to stay in college, get the extra year of development, make a couple $1,000,000, and it's not the risk that it used to be where like you could get hurt for nothing, right? Now you could get hurt at any time in college or pro, but at least be making some money, right?
Yeah.
So like the kid from Oregon, the kid from USC, I don't know all these guys' names, but all these pro ready quarterbacks that could come out this year are not coming out. They're staying, right? Now, at the top of the draft next year, I think there's going to be like 8 teams that are quarterback needy, that need a quarterback. Now, not all of them are going to address that through the draft. Some of them will address that through free agency, but of course, there's only so many of those players as well.
Yeah.
I just think that the quarterback scarcity in the draft, at least top level quarterback scarcity in the draft, is going to cause some interesting decisions. You can either get a haul for the number 1 overall pick because, say, of those 8 quarterback needy teams, 5 of them want to compete for trading for that pick. Like you are going to get a haul because there's just scarcity at that position in the draft. Or you could get a haul for Jackson Dart if you want to move him and take Mendoza. I mean, this is not an apples to apples comparison, but if you remember, what was it, 2018, maybe 2017? Was that the Josh Rosen draft class?
Maybe 6. Yeah.
And then 1 year later, the Cardinals are back picking number 1 again, and they take Kyler Murray. Like Josh Rosen was a bit more of a flop, right, than Jackson Dart is. A lot of people think there's promise in Jackson Dart,
Right.
But there's certain organizations in the NFL that will consistently make the tough decision to move on quickly from bad decisions. I mean, you saw the Cardinals do it. You saw the 49ers acknowledge their mistake quickly.
Immediately.
with Trey Lance.
Yeah.
And then you see other organizations just like double down for too long, potentially, like the New York Jets come to mind recently. And all of these players, have their own situations, and a lot of them are good players that get thrust into difficult situations. But I think the question is, are the Giants the type of organization that would make this move? And I'm thinking that they could. And it would be crazy. But Mendoza could potentially be the type of player that they move off of their previous pick for. But those are just my brief thoughts.
No, extremely interesting, and I always love the trade machine talk. I love it, and it's definitely going to be interesting to see how they go about this draft. I think it always shakes out that there's like you said, 7 to 8 QB needy teams, and there's 7 Band-Aids and 1 doctor, and one of the teams are going to get the surgery, and everybody else is going to have to slap a Band-Aid on it for the year and hope for the best. But yeah, moving over very briefly to the NFC, other side of the NFC East, the better side, the greener grass. We won't stay here too long because we are playing in honestly a few hours. So this is gonna go up afterwards. But want to talk about the Eagles. Would likely do this weekly. And to do so, I want to bring up just like the topic of just. It's a convoluted topic talking about the Eagles because obviously we're coming off of some great success. When you look at our record in a vacuum, a lot of teams would have won our record, a lot of teams would have won our roster, a lot of teams probably even won our season. But not a lot of Eagles fans are pleased. We're just honestly a lot of looking for a place to put the blame. I think the offensive coordinator that has mostly sat there. But Seth, from your lens, when you kind of see these teams, like really successful teams, somehow the Chiefs aren't in the playoff conversation, but everybody is still talking about us somehow. The Chiefs are skirting by with their season. But when you see these happen to teams, what are some of the things that fans can look at from their perspective on really like because when people see the Eagles, they see a bunch of all pros not performing as well. Obviously, we have injuries. But what are some of the things that fans probably aren't really like thinking of when these things happen? Kind of the things going on in the meeting room, some of the things that could not be clicking. And then also maybe you can even just say like the Eagles play 16 other NFL teams throughout the year. So sometimes they're going to drop games. That could also be it. But what are some of the things that fans kind of have an oversight on during these, like looking at successful teams not be as amazing as they should be?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have a good point there about like winning in the NFL is hard regardless of where your franchise is at from a developmental standpoint. Obviously, the Eagles are coming off of a Super Bowl. They've been good for a number of years now, and the fan base expects a certain level of performance, and the players and the coaches do too. Um, my take on the Eagles right now is somewhat out of my own experience and somewhat out of just human nature. But
Yeah.
I feel like what's going on with the Eagles right now is just this reality that the finish line always moves. Like you never really quite arrive somewhere. Like, I don't know, growing up as a football player, you're like, man, I'd love to maybe get a scholarship and play in college. And then you accomplish that. And then you're like kind of balling in college and it's like, oh, maybe I could potentially play in the NFL. And it's like, maybe I could even be a first round draft pick. Let's say you accomplish all those things. And it's like, man, all I wanted to do was get a scholarship to play in college. Right. And you look up and like, you're not even satisfied anymore because once you're now a first round draft pick, it's like, well, now I want to make a Pro Bowl. Now I want to make an All Pro. Now I want to win a Super Bowl. Maybe you've accomplished all of that, and it's like, man, I just wanted to get a scholarship to play in college. but you're still not satisfied. Now, like, okay, maybe you're Saquon, maybe you're AJ Brown, maybe you're Jalen Hurts. You've accomplished so much. Now you're like, AJ Brown's made all pros, right? And he's won a Super Bowl. He's probably thinking about trying to make the Hall of Fame. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's guys in that. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was gonna say Devontae Smith has every trophy in the game. He has beat the game. Yeah. So I just had to get that in there. But keep going.
Like, there's a certain mentality that happens where, like, from the outside looking in, the fan base is like, you guys are winning games. You're probably going to make the playoffs. You have a chance to win the Super Bowl. What's the issue? And the issue, honestly, is guys are trying to accomplish things. Guys are trying to get a certain stat line so they can get paid when it comes time to get paid. Guys are trying to consistently produce so that they have a Hall of Fame resume at the end of their career. Now, there's probably some stuff going on with the offensive coordinator too, in terms of like, hey, we've had some changes at this job a couple of times. We've seen a couple of guys do it. We might not like the guy who's currently doing it because we've seen greener grass in a better way, or we've seen a better communication style, or we've seen a guy consistently put ourselves in better positions to make plays than we currently are. I think there is some of that going on, but I think that's easier for a fan to see. I think the thing that a fan usually misses is my former point about just the fact that like the finish line always moves. and guys are trying to accomplish personal goals that aren't necessarily satisfied by just, hey, we're winning games.
Yeah. The 2 points I think that fans are really the most upset about are, one, you can see things work, and then they'll instantly just abandon those things that worked and just go back to things that clearly aren't going to work. And Justin, we've seen this all season. It's like, they under center passing this year has been just their money. Like Jalen Hurts has been so improved as under center passing, but the Eagles are like one of the bottom teams in under center passing for no reason. Like, it doesn't make sense.
To the tune of like a multiple of like 5 times like the amount of plays. Like it's very the gap is very large. Yeah.
In shotgun passes, but like their under center run game is better than their shotgun passing game. Their under center passing game. So it's like, why are we not seeing these things come to fruition on Sunday when we have seen them? We have literally watched them have success doing these things. Like that Vikings game, the game plan for the Vikings game and the passing game was amazing. And they just never did it again. I was like, oh, did we skip a chapter? Did we forget our notebooks for like? Did we throw those notebooks away?
Yeah,
the other part that's frustrating.
Oh yeah, you had to. My fault. Go.
It's the getting to the line every single. I text Justin this every single game. I don't know how the Eagles their play calls must be like paragraphs long because it takes them 30 seconds to get to the line. And then Jalen Hurts has 4 seconds to take in all the information he needs to take in pre-snap. And then by that time, he's already clapping his hands at Tyler Steen to snap the ball. And it's like, oh my gosh, now we're rushed. And now A.J. Brown's laid off his thing and the D linemen get a jump. And it's just like, oh, I tell Justin, like, it feels like they don't practice. Like, these are things we should be working on here, fellas. Yeah, that's the 2 things that just frustrates me about this team.
I think my deduced reasoning for like how the season's been, I think when Nick came in and I really like, he's like, we're gonna do the simple things perfect. Like that's how we're approaching the game. We're not gonna be overcomplicated. We're gonna be very fun. We're gonna do the fundamentals and very so we that's what we kind of saw, like very rather simple concepts. And I think I don't have the eye to necessarily tell this, but when that kind of goes wrong, it kind of begs the question to me like, okay, so are we too simplified or are we have we gone the other direction? Are we overcomplicated? Because I don't watch the all 22 every place. I don't necessarily have the eye to see like exactly what it is, but through the deduced reasoning, that's kind of like where I'm at based off the what Nick shares that his philosophy is. I don't think that's necessarily changed. I haven't seen it changed until maybe this year, but yeah, that's kind of the deduced reasoning as a fan. I'm going
the penalties, man.
And that's another one I was going to bring up.
And
penalties is one that we can notice too, for sure.
And Nick is standing at the podium being like, "This is uncharacteristic of us." I'm like, dude, you have more games with 6+ penalties than you have without 6+ penalties. Like, you can't say that's not like that. Is this like they preached all offseason about this is a new team. This is a new team. Like this is the 2025 Eagles, not the 2024 Eagles. And now he's like, oh, this isn't our standard. I'm like, no, like the 2025 Eagles standard is don't get 6 penalties. That's our new standard, is get less than 6 penalties. When it used to be, if we have 2, that's insane. But now we have games where we have 10. It's like, dude.
And some of them were on what we're bringing the episode full circle. Some of them were the timing stuff on our RPOs and stuff, the linemen getting caught upfield a bit. And that's another scary thing because I think also another trend I noticed was like the first 2 to 3 games of every season, like A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts' timing is a little funky. Even Dallas Goedert and Hurts, the timing is a little funky. And then we kind of get out of that. And then another trend this year I noticed was kind of getting our players like roll into the season, like staggering in terms of health. And then when we finally get the full group together, it takes a few games to get. So there's just different things going on. And at the end of the day, they're playing in the toughest league in the world, figuring it out at the highest level. And I think at the end of the day, that is the crux of what's going on. But go ahead, Tyler, you have something else.
One thing I'd like to get Seth's thoughts on is this offseason, the Eagles hired a new QB coach. He was the former head coach at Bowling Green. And last year, Bowling Green, Harold Finnan, their tight end, he had like 1,500 yards. And so he comes in as QB coach. And now this year, we're seeing Dallas Goedert have by far like his best year. Do you think like that he comes into like that meeting room and says, "Hey, you've got Dallas Goedert. Don't forget that. Let's draw up some plays for him." Because like there's a few clips going around Twitter right now of the Eagles literally using Bowling Green plays for Dallas Goedert. So like, how much actually do you think he's influencing that getting Goddard the ball?
Yeah, I think it's definitely possible. I've played for a lot of different quarterbacks in my career. It's funny, like when there was a Pac-12 and when there was some of these other conferences when I was playing in college, I noticed that certain quarterbacks from certain conferences liked throwing to tight ends more than others. And
I've shared this information through with Tyler. Tyler's away.
Yeah, that's probably the most specific I'll get, just because that's general enough.
No doubt.
But
absolutely.
There's certain schemes where like that a quarterback will be developed in throughout college that don't really use a tight end. And then there's other schemes, more pro style schemes in college that like a quarterback will use a tight end. And so when a quarterback gets to the NFL, they might just be looking outside the numbers, because they're just used to looking for their wide receivers. Yeah. And I've been in situations where that's kind of been the case. Jalen Hurts has seen a lot in college and the NFL, and I wouldn't label him as a specific type of conference quarterback the way others might get labeled, but it's definitely possible for a coach to come in and help a quarterback see the field differently. Even draw up specific plays that they had success with. That's definitely not out of the conversation. Like, it's definitely possible that Dallas Goedert is reaping the benefits of the conversations between the QB coach and Jalen Hurts. That is definitely possible.
Because he's just been open all year. Like, I feel like every third down, it's like, oh, hey, look, Dallas Goedert wide open, 15 yards after the catch too. Also, the RPO slide, it's my favorite play in football. And it's just, it works. It's money every single time.
I think, and it may make sense that he's like was limited in the game plan a little bit because he almost like wasn't an Eagle. Like we almost didn't find value in paying him. So that probably maybe that leaked into how we were kind of like game plan. Maybe, I don't know, but just a thought, because that was a case. That was a fact. He almost like we went through a good amount of the offseason, like of the mindset that he won't be.
Yeah,
I'm sure the Eagles were the same thinking. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So that can definitely come into the fold.
He's got like 8 touchdowns this year? Yeah, I think it's more. Actually, I think it's like 14. I lied.
He had
he's like top 10 in the NFL in touchdowns.
No, he is killing it. He'll make the Pro Bowl or whatever is left of it. Whatever we have of it.
The flag football. Dude, I love that. I
liked it. I like it too.
Fun. It also looks like the players are having more fun than when they had to put their pads on for a fake game. Now they get like hang out with their friends, like watching CeeDee Lamb and Jalen Hurts.
I feel like you can't really like play like you can't fake play football. You
can't.
It's 100-er. How do you feel about that, Seth? Do you feel you can't fake football? Got 100 or 0?
What do you mean? Give me a little bit more.
In terms of like the Pro Bowl, we're saying we like the flag football better because like they can kind of like. When they had the pads on, it was kind of like half, like they're only half playing, but this is kind of like you're kind of seeing their full athleticism in some manner.
I think if you're gonna have to fake it, it's better to fake it with flags than it is with pads. So I don't mind it. I mean, it's been kind of a non-competitive thing for a while, so let's just have fun. Yeah, I'm okay with it.
Absolutely, and I did watch the relay races and stuff. That was kind of funny.
Dude, they're fun.
Jason Kelce long snapping.
Yeah,
it's a great way to it's a great way for fans to engage differently with the players. And the one benefit of flags and no pads for the relay races or the game is just to kind of like more make it like the NBA where you're seeing the players' faces.
Yep.
Exactly. Getting more personal reaction with them on field. Whereas like the NFL, one of the reasons NFL players aren't celebrities like NBA players are is because of all your whole body's covered up. There's not as much recognition, so.
Fantastic point. Absolutely. Outside of that, anything else to get off our hearts and minds before we wrap up? That was a good one for sure.
Oregon by 35 tonight.
I was going to ask you
Easily.
any worries about an upset, Tyler, before we get out of here?
Absolutely not. You give Dan Lanning 2 weeks or almost a month to prepare for a G5 team. He's gonna bury them, and I actually kind of feel bad because I love JMU, but like this is gonna get ugly quick, and I know it, and it's gonna be bad. But like, it's a tune-up game for Texas Tech. However, big Oregon news is our number 1 freshman, DeCorian Moore, the wide receiver, is gonna be back.
Sure.
And there's also rumors of Evan Stewart, who was supposed to be our number 1 this year. He may be back for Texas Tech. So watch out. Ducks might go on a run. Dante Moore, Kenyon Sadiq. Yeah. This is it. This is the team. They got to, like, you got to win this. They'll win this game, but they got to beat Texas Tech. Like, I've put the expectation to beat them. I need a Final Four finish.
That's a tough one coming in. How are you feeling about the overall run? You feeling like, and if you had to put a percentage on it, how are you feeling about the Ducks' chances?
They have an easier path this year, obviously, than they did last year. Last year was unfair.
Sure.
But
yeah, I do remember.
This year you have Texas Tech, and then if you win that game, you have the winner of Indiana, Alabama. So you've already played Indiana this year. You've got tape on them. You know, you can see what went wrong with sim pressure, but I don't think they can fix that. You got to get the run game going against them, and then you just got, like, Indiana, it's the same thing that we talked about last week with Ohio State. You got to bring the punch to them because Cignetti's going to throw the right hook on the first play of the game.
No,
so
I'm very.
I like the Ducks' chances this year. Actually, you know, if we get Dante Moore, if DeCorian Moore comes back, that's a top 5 wide receiver in the country weapon that you're getting back. So.
Yeah, I agree with you. I like the Ducks' chances, and I'm excited. I'm excited to see Indiana maybe play one of these really good teams again. Not for the sake of I don't believe in Indiana, but just they went on this run. Would love to see it. Yeah, let's see.
Yeah, let's see them prove it one more time. I'm with that too.
Yeah, they're a fun team to watch. I love Cignetti.
I love that. We can end that on the high note. We love Cignetti. See what the Hoosiers do. Go Ducks. See how the Ohio State is shaken at the end of this one. But yeah, that's everything wrapped up. Nothing else from us. Thank you for watching. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. Tell somebody that you love them, and thank you. Peace.